If you edit 4K video, you probably spend less time editing and more time trying not to throw your computer at it. Your timeline stutters, scrubbing through clips is nearly impossible, and your whole edit feels like it's fighting you every single step of the way. But what if I told you the issue probably isn't your hardware, and it may not even be your software settings, it's your files. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's slowing you down every single time you try to edit 4K footage, why it gets so much worse when you collaborate with a team, and how you can actually fix it. But first, you have to understand why your footage is so heavy. When you edit in Premiere, Resolve, or Final Cut, your software is reading your footage files constantly. Anytime you hit play, scrub the timeline, or jump between clips, it reads. And with 4K files, that's a lot to read. Think about it, just a single minute of 4K ProRes footage can be anywhere from 3 to 6 gigabytes, depending on your codec and frame rate. Now, if you shoot for a full day, you're ingesting hundreds of gigabytes worth of footage before you can even make a single cut, grinding your edit to a halt. Which is why the first thing that many editors will do is edit with proxy files. And while proxy files do work, they do come with some annoying overhead. Starting with the fact that you have to transcode them, which depending on how much footage you have can still cost you hours of time. Then you're managing 2 sets of files now instead of 1. And if you run into any hiccups when you go to relink your files at the end of your edit, that adds an additional headache. So while proxies can patch the problem, they aren't the solution. But oh wait, it gets so much worse. Because if you're editing solo, file management can be annoying, but mostly manageable. But the second you add another editor, colorist, or producer reviewing cuts to the workflow, now your massive 4K files need to start moving. So you start uploading them to Dropbox or Drive, then wait. And wait, sometimes for hours. Finally, they're done. Your editor downloads the files, makes their edits, and uploads a new version. Then you download again, wait some more, and eventually you don't have any hair left because the stress of that tedious back and forth drives you literally insane. Every revision cycle, you have to move massive files back and forth, and while those files are moving, nobody's able to work. That's the real issue with your workflow, the constant uploading and downloading of files that are too big for the tools your team are using to share them. Tools like Google Drive and Dropbox were built for documents and small assets, so the second you try to start fitting multi-gigabyte 4K video projects through them, your workflow buckles, all while creating several local copies of the same project, leaving everyone confused trying to figure out which version is the latest one. To fix this, we need to take a second to shift the thought process behind your team's files. Instead of treating large files as something you need to send, treat them as something you grant access to. That's the model that LucidLink was built on. Your files live in a cloud-based file space that behaves like a local drive. You don't upload or download files back and forth, you mount them in the LucidLink file space and work directly from it. When someone else needs a file, you don't send it to them. You give them access to it, and they can open it immediately regardless of the size and whether it's being worked on or not. No downloading or re-uploading, and since you're streaming only what you need, playback stays responsive, because instead of having to read the massive 4K files that you had to fully download, LucidLink's file streaming model reads your files in smaller chunks, exactly as your edit needs it. So instead of having to ingest hundreds of gigabytes before you can start working, you and your team can start working the moment the footage lands in LucidLink. Your editor starts cutting, your colorist starts grading footage, and your producer can review cuts in real time, all at the same time from the same file space. This also removes version confusion entirely, since everyone is always working from one live version of the project. No more folders titled final_v2 client edit _final, just one file space with one source of truth, while all your existing tools stay exactly the same. LucidLink shows up just like an external hard drive, seamlessly working with Premiere, Resolve, or Final Cut. So if your 4K video editing workflow feels slow and collaborating with your team feels impossible, it's almost always a file management problem. And LucidLink is built to close that gap by changing how you use and access your files. Your files stop traveling between machines and eating up storage space and start living in one place where your team can access them in real time. So switch to LucidLink and subscribe for more videos where we'll show you how you can make your workflow actually flow.